we have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
What do they call that? A Freudian slip? That's what I think that was. I really, really do. We're joined now by Doug Wead, presidential historian, author, Inside Trump's White House, a great book. Craig Shirley, Reagan biographer and presidential historian. Way too many books to mention. Newsmax analyst. Welcome to you both. Wow, we're in a bit of a pickle, but I think there's all kinds of hope. Craig, first to you. Just give us the lay of the land. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I mean, I think like everybody in America tonight, Greg, I want an honest count. That's all. That's really what I want. Is that all votes that were cast as of midnight on Election Day should be counted. Anything that was postmarked on Election Day should or before should be counted. And really, for the sake of the nation, I share with everybody else is that I just want an honest recount, and and I'd like the nation to move on at some point. You know, whether it's Trump is the winner or whether it's Biden is the winner. I mean, obviously, I hope it's Trump is the winner, but I'm worried right now a little bit about the state of the country right now.
Well, the state of the country, I think, is just fine, because I'm hearing from a lot in the media, Trump should do the gracious thing and just accept what we're trying to create right now, which is this notion, I believe false, that the game is up, that it's over. I don't see it that way, particularly how close the situation is in Pennsylvania. Doug, we can do more than one thing at a time in this country. In 2000, how long was that election unresolved? How long did it last? 6 weeks, 2 months? What was it?
A long time. In fact, Al Gore finished his court challenges in December. So here we have the national news media trying to rush this. It hadn't been a week, and they're saying, that Trump's so unreasonable and for the sake of the country. These are the people who told us he was a Russian spy for 3 years and that this would be a close election. Now they're telling us there's no fraud. Trust me, there's no fraud. By the way, Greg, you've got great researchers on this show. I don't know where they got that clip you opened with, but that's great.
Which one? You mean the old election from 1976?
No, the one where Joe Biden is saying we've got the best organization for fraud that's ever been put together.
Well, hey, that was no problem. That was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I got a better one for you, Doug and Craig. This is from 1974, when Joe Biden was on a show called The Advocates on public television. He acted like nobody was watching. He certainly acted like a guy who didn't think this would be reviewed many years later, but you got to see how cocky this guy is and how he's kind of, well, take a look.
Senator Biden, welcome to The Advocates.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Senator Biden, it's nice to have you here. As the youngest member of the Senate, the one, therefore, who may expect the longest career there, I wonder if you'd say to us, since it's clear that you're not corrupt and you got elected, why should people think that the system produces corrupt results when there you are?
Well, I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt, but thank you for that, though.
Don't assume I'm not corrupt. And then he goes on to say, he explains in pretty clear terms, look, here's how it works. You got to raise money, but the people who give you the money, they want something for it. And he called it implicit corruption. And he didn't seem to be uncomfortable with that at all. Craig, first to you.
I think that Joe Biden has always had a problem putting one noun in front of a verb. I think he's always had the political equivalent of Tourette's syndrome. So I think you got to chalk it up to that. You know, when I said earlier I was worried about the state of the nation, I agree with both of you. Is that we can chew gum and walk at the same time. This country, has taken on war, depression, civil rights struggles, and everything else. So we'll handle this too. But I do think that there has to be a point where everybody just has to just to calm down and allow the process to work its way through and let the truth fall where it may.
You know, the interesting thing is, since there have been so many issues and scandals and things in the news for a long time, a lot of fake scandals, by the way. the general public, they're kind of taking this in stride. I don't know if it's COVID or what. Doug, have you noticed that? It just doesn't, it seems like the news cycle continues in a weird way, or am I misreading it?
All of my friends are stunned.
Okay.
They're just stunned by what has happened. I mean, how can we trust the news media to explain this story of fraud when they told us this election wasn't even going to be close, and they've told us for 3 years the guy's a Russian spy? It's just so outrageous. You can't trust anyone. You can't talk to anyone online because it'll be censored. It's an unusual world we're living in. And that video you just showed of Joe Biden shows the big difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Donald Trump had money and openly admitted as a businessman he'd donate to these politicians so they do what he wanted. That was the reason he wanted to run, was to end that corruption that Joe Biden says is so normal.
I know. Right around that same time, a couple of years later, Donald Trump said, you know, I don't know if I could do politics because you got to have a big smile and not much of a brain. And when he offered that explanation, you know, it's a perfect description of Joe Biden, the guy he'd run against so many years later. Gentlemen, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Doug Wead and Craig Shirley. Wow, I think we've got time. I think we can sort this out. And I think we will prevail. We will see. But, gentlemen, thanks again, okay?
Thanks, Greg.
You bet. You bet.
My friends are calling me all the time and writing me and saying, you've disappeared from television. We can't find you. We don't see you anymore. This is the only way we've figured out how to beat the censors. If you subscribe to this channel, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell, you'll get notification when I'm on TV. Otherwise, you won't get my Instagrams, my messages on Facebook. It's censorship. So I want to hear from you. I want you to be able to hear from me.